Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of No Place Like Homaha. I'm your host, JD Wonder, alongside my co-host, Nick Hendricks and Mikey Love. Oh, it has been upset city these past few days of good old college baseball. We've seen a lot of top seeds lose to a lot of no-name teams. So to kick it off, I mean, Wake Forest losing. Who did they lose to?
Forest ended up dropping a game to Dayton.
So they lost again. Who else had lost this past weekend?
LSU.
No, there was LSU lost.
Or UNC Greensboro. That's who Wake Forest
Yeah,
lost to.
UNC
They swept through Dayton.
Greensboro. It's crazy. Again, like Nick and I talked about before this, TCU is really gunning for that number one spot. They're one of the few teams that are still undefeated in college baseball, sweeping UCLA this past weekend.
I think TCU has a legit chance of possibly breaking in, or at least moving up into the rankings, if not going into potentially a number 2 spot. I mean, they have just looked absolutely deadly this weekend. The bats never wavered. They ended up getting a big win today on a 13-3 game. I mean, their bullpen has just been outstanding. We talked about how UCLA has been so good offensively on the hitting side, but TCU really shut the door. And I think a lot of pitching staffs this weekend kind of proved themselves to really what they can be. And some teams are even almost ready for conference play with their pitching staff. Arkansas is one of those teams as well. Hagen Smith the other night against Oregon State, 17 Ks in 6 innings. I mean, that's huge when you talk about it, especially looking at how good Oregon State has been in the past offensively. And that game came down to a nail biter. And they ended up dropping a game to Oklahoma State in a 2-1 ball game as well. So, I mean, they're pitching staffs all over the board, but TCU has been the one to stand out to me with just their amount of starters and shutdown power that they had against UCLA.
Yep, I agree with that. I mean, as far as looking like a pretty dominant team, they're kind of standing at the front runner along with their strength of schedule. Let's take a peek back quick. Yeah, so LSU ended up losing to Stony Brook in that rematch. And then we had, if I could give out the Big Pimpin' Player of the Week to a team, it would go to Texas Tech. They ended up
Absolutely.
putting up 32 runs on Texas Southern. So the final score was 32-5. Just ridiculous. That's video game numbers.
And to be honest, though, I went back and looked at the stat sheet the other day. They didn't really have too many home runs in that game. Like, I think there was a handful of 5 homers in that game, and Ole Miss tried to trump that number with 4 in the first inning today. But Texas Tech was just hitting the ball around the yard, and there was nothing that a Texas Southern bullpen could do. I think they went through like 6 or 7 pitchers till they finally just said, "Yeah, you're sticking to it, and you're dying on that hill. Like, we're not pulling you out," which I think is kind of what you have to do, especially with a big weekend against an opponent like that. But then they came back today and dropped 16-5 over Texas Southern to get, I believe it was a series sweep this weekend.
I think you are correct. Statement. I'm just looking at more of the upsets on Friday. We had Kennesaw State putting it on Clemson as well, 18-1. North Carolina upset East Carolina in a kind of a slug match, 2-1. I mean, 15 seed upsetting an 11 seed. That's not super uncommon, especially early in the season. Santa Barbara getting upset by Sacramento State. Iowa getting upset by Auburn. And this as far as ranked opponents go on that first kind of day.
Iowa lost all 3 this weekend, bud.
Oh, they did? They got swept?
Yeah.
They didn't
I was
play,
just looking at that Friday
They didn't
schedule,
play
so
a
I'm
team
looking.
3 times. They played 3 separate teams.
Oh, so they just didn't win all together.
No, they just
Belmont
they
on
pulled Iowa.
Saturday. Yeah. Belmont on Saturday beat South Carolina 11-2.
Vanderbilt ended up getting upset by Gonzaga this afternoon.
They're 5-3.
Gonzaga
Who is
baseball
Vanderbilt
is
or Gonzaga?
No, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Chris.
Which we talked about this last year too. I believe they came out to a little bit of a slow start as they were highly ranked, but they ended up closing it out during the year. They've got so much better experience on that team every year where it seems like once they get down to conference play, they really start showing what kind of team that is. And I wouldn't say they struggle with non-conference games and stuff like this, but it just seems they get off to a little bit of a slower start than they have since it was 2015 when they had, and 14 when they had Dansby, Carson Fulmer, and that whole entire pitching staff back in the day. So that's kind of one of those things you got to look at on where those go coming down the stretch.
Absolutely. Looking further into Saturday, Holy Cross upset Kansas State in 10 innings. Oklahoma State upset Arkansas in 14 innings, 2-1.
You know, Washington
And
had a tie last week.
Washington, because of was it the lights
The curfew.
or the curfew? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then NC State or Hawaii upset NC State. Yep, Wichita State ended up beating Iowa.
Holy
Yep,
Cross
Gonzaga,
ended up
like we
beating
talked about.
Kansas State as well yesterday.
That's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
My
My bad.
My bad.
As far as upsets go, I think that's about it. Yep. So yeah, I mean, a lot of those begin still early in the season, still trying to find your defined guys, all that kind of stuff, and you have some teams that are just coming out hitting the sticks early.
Big teams to come out and hit the sticks, I guess you could say. I'll put Texas on that list. They came out swinging against Cal Poly, but Florida as well. You can't throw them out of the list with a season sweep over, or a weekend series sweep over Columbia. But Texas Tech, I look back at their Saturday game, they ended up scoring 20 runs in Saturday's game. So they put up over 70 runs in a weekend against Texas Southern. So that's going to be a tough ride back for them. I mean, you look at a team like Texas Tech, who historically is, especially with Josh Young, which they had a couple of years ago, who got drafted to the Rangers. I mean, Texas Tech has been known for their offensive abilities. I mean, they have never really wavered from that. And the Big 12 can be a tough conference, especially with baseball. Now that you got Oklahoma heating back up, you got Texas in there, a couple of other teams that you can start adding now with all the conference switch ups. So, I mean, that and TCU, you can't obviously forget about them. So that'll be a fun match coming down the stretch in conference play when we get to see the Red Raiders and the Horned Frogs, as well as East Carolina really showed something against North Carolina after dropping game one. Come back, ended up winning the series. I saw a tweet earlier today that Greensboro is already good for super regional match, and that whole entire East Carolina campus now for baseball has just been absolutely storming. I mean, the game earlier today where there was just a bloop single and you got fans already jumping around, the stadium is packed. I mean, Greensboro is ready for baseball and they want to come to Omaha. And I think they have a team to be able to do it this year with a lot of the guys that they were able to return.
You're saying for ECU?
What?
You're saying for ECU?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. We're going to watch them dominate. And then they're going to get to the playoffs. It's going to be a
And we're just going to still
every time they're going to be a host site, and then they're going to be a host site and just suck.
Bingo.
As far as then big pimpin' player of the week, got shades on.
Break out the glasses.
We got the freshman at Georgia Tech, Drew Burress. He has hit 5 home runs in 6 games, and when they were facing Cornell, he hit 2 home runs in the inning. So I'd say that's pretty noteworthy at this point. I believe Mike and I had talked earlier about this was a kid who was looking to get drafted and decided to go to college instead, and having already a very good freshman campaign, making a statement for himself, trying to get his draft stock up.
I mean, I was listening to the broadcast clip on that of when they were talking about it in game, and they said 2 home runs in an inning is pretty unheard of. It's like, dude, I don't even know if I've ever heard of 2 home runs hit in an inning by the same guy. Like, that's just absolutely shocking. But Georgia Tech has been kind of on a little bit of a roll so far this year, and with Burris hitting as well as he is. Hopefully that keeps up, because we've talked about guys on this show like Tommy White, Tim Elko. Are they able to keep up the swagger? And it seems like, for the most part, Elko has. He's already got 1 home run in spring training already. Tommy White this year is still doing Tommy White things, coming on his, I believe it's his second year at LSU, and they're trying to go back to a national title. The weekend wins against Stony Brook after falling in game 1 really helped. And I was watching a little bit of that game today, and that offense is just dangerous 1 through 9. I mean, there's not really a guy that you can throw past in that entire lineup. They've got speed, they've got small ball ability. You can power it across the yard with Tommy White. So, I mean, their LSU is looking very strong as well. But don't count this Georgia Tech team out when it comes to ACC play. I think they'll surprise a lot of people.
Should be good. As far as then looking at other parts of the weekend, there was actually a little bit of sloppy baseball to be had. I know from watching the Nebraska Grand Canyon games, there was a point when guy literally got on base, I think because of an error, and he got all the way around the bases because of errors. I think he stole second, errant throw, got to third, and then there was a balk and he scored. So again, so you're talking about still early in the season, working the kinks out and stuff like that. We also had in another game, I honestly don't know what team this is. Gotta look at the identity of it. Yeah, can't tell by that either. Oh, it was Penn State, West Virginia. There was a 75-foot inside the park grand slam, if you want to call it that. Pounded the ball into the ground. Pitcher overthrows first base. Everybody just comes around to score eventually because they threw it, got bounced around the infield, and just everybody ended up scoring. It's just ridiculous. So overthrew first base, trying to get the ball in. Overthrows the catcher, hits the backstop, rolls out in front of home plate. The catcher doesn't get the ball, and the guy scores.
Talk about your snowball fight, Little League inside the Parker.
Yeah.
There was a lot of moments of sloppiness, and this one doesn't even come from players. This one just comes from the good old ones that we love to call the friggin' fun haters, because umpires and officials, I think, have the biggest chip on their shoulder now. And I love watching it because in the NBA, it has come across a lot more. But today, Tyler Wilson for Grand Canyon decides he wants to big pimp it and hit a grand slam to tie the ball game. And then bat flips against Nebraska, which respectfully, you hit a game-tying home run. Grand Canyon has been known to have a few teams to get through into the regional round. They're ranked in the top 25. It seems like every other year they'll flip-flop in and out. And had a better record than Nebraska has so far to open up the year. But as he is rounding third base, the umpire literally tosses him as he touches home plate. And they had to pause the game for that. But Grand Canyon still gets all the runs. But how do you eject a guy for a game-tying grand slam bat flip?
Because, like you said,
explain to me
they
that.
hate fun.
Well, for starters, he flipped it as high as he could right as he was about to touch first.
I mean, yeah, he
I'm
could.
not defending the guy, but
Yeah, I will give you that. The bat flip was definitely, it was milked by all set the standards of the book. Like, I mean, like Mikey said, he didn't flip it until he pretty much was already walking on first base. But at the same time, it's like nothing else was said, nothing else was done. It's like I'm not going to be the one to say that he should have got ejected for it or not. But I personally would not have, as an umpire, I don't think you should have did that. Maybe give him a warning or something. But
Well, that whole series was just real chippy. Just from everything that I'd seen from it, it was a lot of just back and forth. And I think the emotions of the game, especially since that was the final game they played, and I think they played, you said the 4 games that they played. I think that's a culmination of, I mean, they were down, and I think that exact play that I talked about earlier happened in that game. So they were down 8-3 in that moment. And, emotions run high, gets a hold of one, which, happens probably as many times as you can count on one hand the amount of times that you've had a clutch moment where you just demolished a ball and you knew it was gone.
Yeah.
I think that every player's had the chance to have it, and to actually have it, you really don't know how you react in the situation. Again, not condoning anything, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like he did that. As long as there was no direct target towards the other team, all this kind of stuff. And then if Nebraska comes back like they did, ends up winning the ball game, then you have to eat it in that scenario. You can't just be like, oh, well, no, they're like, So, like, if Nebraska guy comes off the mound and he's just fired up, then he should be allowed to do that. Like, it's as long as you're fired up towards your own guys, I don't really care that much.
I kind of agree with that on a point of you just got to kind of know when to pick and choose your
Like
moments. I mean,
you're not disrespecting the other team. You're not trying to disrespect the game, all this kind of stuff. You're like, oh, I got a hold of that. You're looking towards your dugout. Like, let's go. Like, now it's 0-0 ball game. We're back in it,
it's like I'm trying to think about it. Who was the guy from Mississippi State a couple years ago when they won their national title? Hit a home run when Mississippi State was already up, but he was only turning to his dugout and hyping them up for getting the trip to go to Omaha in the Supers. I forget who it was.
I remember the game you're talking about.
I remember the broadcast call, but
that
I
was
can't
when
remember
Jake
his
Mangum
name.
was on the team.
Yeah. Big hit. They called him Big Hit Mac, but I mean, still that, and talk about a team there for getting through as much as they had offensively. That Mississippi State team back in 17? That was a very, very solid team. And then Mississippi State has been quiet since then. So, but yeah, this week should have a pretty good amount of games coming up. I'm looking at just some of the schedules down the road, and the first team that you guys are going to hate me, but the first team that I looked up was Texas. They've got the Astros. They've got the Astros Foundation Classic at Minute Maid, but this should be a good weekend series of baseball in general. You got LSU versus Texas. Texas State's there. Vanderbilt's there. So, I mean, that's going to be 4 good teams as well, because Texas State, talked about them. They've been in and out of the top 25 throughout the last couple of seasons as well. Going through Nebraska's schedule here, since I've got that pulled up as well. Their next weekend, they've got College of Charleston coming up in the first weekend of March. And we'll see if we can get some other games coming up here on the D1 baseball site.
I just wanted to be known too to the fans out there. We are anti-Texas.
Yes.
I just want that to be established.
All 3 of us.
Yes.
No, there's
huge.
Not all 3.
We're TCU fans.
Correct.
Yes.
We're huge Old Dominion Lion fans.
Yes.
These babbling buffoons cannot speak for me.
Yes, we
Let's
can.
just agree to say that we don't like any team that's burnt orange.
I do.
Yeah,
No.
they have horns in their logo.
I do.
I'm like this.
I do.
Like that. This is TCU, Nick. Okay.
That's still a horn in the logo.
Horn frogs.
But just because you specified horn in the logo.
No, I said, but are they burnt orange, Nicholas?
But you still specified with horns in the logo.
Hit the showers, bud.
No, lick Zach, pal.
Well, while you guys are arguing, I've been finding teams that are winless.
Oh, excellent.
We
get this segment on. Yes.
There's a lot of them. A lot.
We'll read through them. Let's see if we can find a team that we've liked.
Okay. There's 8 conferences so far. There's 3 that I wasn't able to pull up as fast. But there's 8 that don't have teams without wins. Okay.
Okay.
First one's going to take us to the Patriot Conference, where we got Lafayette, 0-7. Good start for those guys. Then we're going to go to the Southwestern Atlantic Conference, where we've got Mississippi Valley State, which they've only played 2 games, and Alcorn State, 0-6. Love that for them. Good job. Then we're going to move to the Summit, where you're going to have Northern Colorado and good old UNO winless.
Oh, boy.
Things don't love to see.
UNO.
We're moving to America East Conference. We've got Albany and UMBC, both 0-3. Then we're going to move to the Big West. CSU Bakersfield, The Horizon League has Milwaukee and Youngstown State. Then we're going to go to the good old Smarty Pants League. Columbia, Dartmouth, Harvard, and Yale all win this. Then we're going to make our way to the best conference, the Metro Atlantic.
Oh,
4 teams.
Maction.
4 teams.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Fairfield,
Okay.
Ryder, Siena, and take a guess.
Iona.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are back at it.
Yeah.
Culture lives on. The
How many-
culture
How many
lives
games has
on.
Iona played?
They are 0-6.
Oh boy.
They are not doing well. And for those that are listening and watching, they went 13-38 last year, so an improvement. But they went a long time with that. No, they did not. No, they did not. Who the hell was it last year?
Northwestern is who we had last year.
They had like 2
Right, bro.
wins.
I swear to God, that it was Iona. Was that 2 years ago? It was Iona?
That's 2 years ago.
It was 2 years, yeah.
Was it?
They were
Oh
going
yeah,
for
because
the record.
Iona won the very first game, and we were like, "Oh my God!" Yeah, Iona
Yeah.
went 6-41 in 22.
Jeez.
They didn't win a game until April 14th.
Culture's back, baby. Culture revival in Iona.
These are things you love to see.
We'll have to keep that
The goats.
keep that rolling for the next week. to
How
see-
is Northwestern though this year? And they
They've won 2 games.
1 game, 2 games.
Yeah.
No.
They got tallywhacked by Duke this weekend, though.
Yeah,
Put them-
Duke's looking like a good team this year, just like we talked about earlier. But
Yeah.
Let
Put
me
them
look
where?
for
Northwestern does
trash
not look
team.
good.
Iowa dumpster fires.
Yeah, Iowa has not. From where they left off last year, they really haven't surprised me. And I mean, they did have a tough week tough opening weekend game against Virginia, and Virginia's been kind of being able to bounce back after losing Kyle Teal, especially. I mean, that's a huge bet that they lost there, but defensively, Virginia's always been strong, and then Auburn as well in that weekend series. Auburn is consistently up there in SEC play, and once they get into the conference play, they usually kind of hop into the top 25 after getting up some key wins. So we'll have to keep a track on Iowa because they're a little bit. Has Iowa won a game this year? I don't.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
they won
have
their
one.
opening.
I would
game.
also like to correct my statement. Northwestern's 1-5.
They're 1-5.
Yeah.
All right.
And
We got plenty of
we
teams.
will not be talking about the Old Dominion Lions this weekend. We're just gonna move right past that shit.
How
No, I
many
would
teams
like
are
to-
still undefeated after this weekend? Do we know?
We forgot to baseball. There's a few.
TCU? I know is
TCU
This
is
is one of
leading the pack right now, and I mean they're
Clemson is the
competitive
only one
wins
unbeaten.
too.
here.
Creighton,
What there was
Alabama, Georgia.
Creighton
Oh.
still undefeated? Is that who you said?
Oh, are they? Heck
Good for
yeah.
Creighton. I feel like Alabama's going to be a dark horse as well. I mean, they're usually
You're
pretty.
a dark horse.
Rope.
Thank you.
I don't.
Oh, no, who's not a dark horse?
Texas.
Absolute
Yeah.
dumpster fire.
Yeah,
No,
That's a
they're
see
the
you later.
Pac-12 of teams.
they got more wins than Old Dominion at the moment. They're 6-1, buddy.
Okay, and how much is your program? $800 million?
You hate us 'cause you ain't us.
CWS. And if you bring
hate
up
us 'cause
BK
they ain't
making the
us.
playoffs, I swear to God.
They hate us because they ain't us, bro. Old Dominion still missed out last year
Yeah, you know why? Because the committee hates us.
because you didn't win enough, buddy. Sorry, not sorry.
Anyways,
Tired of throwing these facts out here of
Texas being a trash can of a team.
anyways,
Nick, you know what's gonna happen? We're gonna settle this shit. We're playing NCAA when it comes
oh
out,
my
and
god.
it's gonna be Texas versus Old Dominion, and I'm gonna
Alright.
rumple stomp your ass.
that, baby. Let's go. I
Not
It's
even
gonna
related
be
to
fun for
football.
you.
I need
You're
to buy
gonna
a P-
learn. You're gonna learn fake punt pass like it's the back of your hand at the end of it.
I need to buy a PS5 first. I'm still
Well.
poor enough to where I don't have one.
Pitter patter. Ask Texas for one.
You know what game would be fun for them to come out now that they're doing all this NIL deal stuff and getting?
NCAA baseball.
Yes, bro. They haven't had one since MVP 07.
Mm-hmm.
The Tennessee guy or the Texas
No, that
guy?
was Tim Lincecum.
Yeah, that was Tim Lincecum from Long Beach State. And then in
Yeah.
2006, it was Texas.
Yeah, trash cans.
You know who hasn't ever
So
been on that?
looking at now the
Because
weekend
the committee
series.
hates us.
Looking at Friday, ranked opponents. Yeah, so we talked about they got the Kubota college baseball series. That also contains some teams. So we got TCU and USC facing off. NC State's going to play Townsend. Virginia's going to play UMass. We also got the Frisco College Baseball Classic, which got an Arizona team playing a Dallas Baptist. They're both not ranked, but I think that
Dallas
they're
Baptist
pretty
is
good.
lossless too, I believe.
Dallas Baptist?
Mm-hmm.
I
Nick, I would also like to state Texas has played a big fat nobody.
um
Suck my ass,
Binghamton's
bud.
playing Wake Forest, Murray State's playing Arkansas,
Look at Old
Louisiana's playing
Dominion's schedule,
Vanderbilt,
buddy.
Akron's playing Duke, Princeton's.
Rutgers. We got steamrolled.
Purdue is
Not
paying
to
East
talk about, but
Carolina in the Keith LeClaire Classic.
make sure to miss that game.
Oklahoma and Pitt will be facing off.
Make sure to miss that game.
Clemson has South Carolina in a matchup.
Florida
That should be
is
a good
playing Miami in a in-state, I believe, weekend series. Quote me on that one. Arizona State's playing Texas A&M. Clemson and South Carolina will be the matchup to kind of watch, as well as Indiana and Alabama.
Probably not.
Santa Barbara is playing Oregon. Oregon's still out of the top 25, but will try to make a statement facing them. Iowa is going to be facing Ole Miss.
Oof.
So hopefully they can get out of a skid, but that's going to be
Ole
a tough
Miss
opponent.
has been dumpster fire recently.
Texas playing LSU in the Astros Foundation Classic.
Yeah, you should probably just mark an L down on the Texas schedule for that one.
Michigan is playing UCLA. Then moving into Saturday, again with a lot of these tournaments, they'll be kind of round robin. So Vanderbilt's playing
flip, baby.
Houston.
Go.
Indiana will then play Dallas Baptist. Iowa is facing Ole Miss in a weekend series. That'll be
in Oxford too.
Tough.
That should be.
Yeah, Florida and Miami is also a weekend series. So
the Oxford series should be tough because the Showers and Wright are back for good old Ole Miss, which is always fun to see. I think that's one of the best cultures in college baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the series, I mean, obviously with these tournaments they'll be kind of cycling through, but I believe some of these ones to watch would be Florida and Miami, just to see if Miami can kind of establish themselves or if Florida will continue to be dominant and stay in the top 5.
If Caglione pitches the way he did today.
Well, he pitched 3 innings and he
was
looked
on, though.
decent. I mean, he had a 3-run bomb hit off of him. But yeah, if he can keep the run production down and stay offensively crisp, then yeah. But South Carolina and Clemson will be a really big one to watch as far as ranked teams this weekend.
Will we see Dallas DBU come to Omaha for the first time?
I don't know, but they've got Indiana because they've got, or looking at Indiana's schedule, they've got Alabama, Dallas Baptist, and Arizona and Frisco.
DBU plays Oklahoma State, Arizona, Indiana, and Alabama this week.
Mm-hmm. That should be a big test for them.
And then they play TCU on the 12th.
Yep, and then Texas plays Vanderbilt on Sunday.
Oh, mark that down.
Be another loss for Texas.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. 2 losses in the same weekend. It's tough.
I mean, if you think about it, the color is already the color of fire, so it's dumpster fire everywhere.
That means they're just heating up, bud.
Yeah, heating up to be put into a trash can or dumpster fire. I'll tell you.
Nope. Is this the first year where the Big 12 actually has like a full schedule with the mix, right? Because this was the first year for college.
Are you popping a Zinni right now?
Yeah, bro.
I thought that's what I seen.
My goodness, this is the family-friendly podcast.
Are you double decking?
No, I'm not double decking, bro.
He's quadruple decking.
I haven't double decked since college, buddy. Calm down.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Womp womp, buddy.
You keep saying
yeah.
buddy. What is up with this? It's starting to piss me off.
Bro, you've just been in a pissy mood.
Well, you want to know why? Go back and read that text. What's the word you added on there? It's bud.
We were texting before the group chat, and it hit 8:00 when we were supposed to schedule this. And Mikey goes, per usual, because Mikey is always on schedule. No, this is per usual.
Email.
Yeah, and you do that
I
all
didn't
the
say
time.
per usual. Well,
no, I said per usual because this is per usual how you act.
And per usually, I'm always waiting on you.
Per usually, we were waiting on Josh on this one. And per usual, you always send, hey, where's the damn email?
I got shit to do. I got a bed to sleep in, Game of Thrones to watch, and an alarm to set.
All right, I'll give you that with the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, it's about as bad as Texas is right now. So,
what season are you in?
He's in the last season.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
He agreed.
Let the record state that Nick did disagree to Texas being bad.
I did not. No, I said Game of Thrones.
He said, "Oh yeah, fair." It's the same. Anyways,
Season 8 of Game of Thrones is worse than Texas baseball at this point, and Texas baseball is currently 6-1.
We got him.
No, you did not.
We got him.
No.
See you later.
Write that down.
No.
Anyways,
that guy, pal.
I believe, to quote the great Zinni Nick Hendricks right here, they hate us because they ain't us.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's got him there. That's a valid point.
Oh, whatever.
This is double check.
Well, if that's all we got,
calm down there,
as
bud.
far as baseball talks for the weekend. Anything else we want to add?
Texas is trash.
Old Dominion
gas,
still is.
baby.
Old Dominion is struggling, man. They ain't coming to
Omaha.
Omaha.
Gasoline.
They ain't coming to Omaha, buddy.
I'm gonna laugh so hard when they come before Texas does. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever.
Old Dominion still has to win their conference, buddy, to even get a
Texas
shot at it.
still has to stop sucking, buddy.
6-1, buddy.
Okay.
If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, we're at
Do
no
it, because
place
we're about
like
to have a
Homaha.
boxing match in about 3 weeks.
Please like and subscribe. Comment what you want to see. Comment if you're Team Old Dominion or Team Texas. See what we got. You can find us on Twitter and TikTok at Homaha Pod. Shout out our sponsor, Cronio Media, for getting us out on all platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Again, Cronio Media, just fantastic people over there. You can also use the code Cronio Media, all one word, at Shankit Golf and Dubby when you check out for 10 to 15% off of your order.
You need to get some golf shirts for this year, man. It was 65 and sunny today. I wanted to hit the links, man.
I would also like to give a shout out to Reese's.
Reese's
today.
Reese's Pieces?
No, Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, Reese's.
They're great. They're chocolatey and peanut butter, and they're better than Texas. So what can I say?
That's the only thing orange I really enjoy, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't enjoy an orange soda, man?
No.
What?
If I have the choice between orange or grape soda, I want grape.
I knew. I'm not gonna finish that sentence.
All right.
Finish it, bro.
I can't.
Until we're off the show.
End the episode.
Oh man, it's too late. I already hit end record.
No, you didn't.